G'day, how are we going? Monday Night Live 103 tonight. So welcome everyone. I'm getting comments up here. I've got my faithful assistant by my side, Taylor. How are you, Taylor, tonight?
Thanks.
Very well. You'll have to speak up. You haven't got a microphone. So Taylor's here. He's very well, allegedly. So Josh is here. Let me turn the speaker off, which we should do before. Welcome everyone. I'm getting comments up here. I've got my faithful assistant by my side, Taylor. How are you, Taylor, tonight? Very well. You'll have to speak. There we go. Turned it off. We need to do that before we get going. So everyone's here. How are we going, guys? Have we got the intro tonight, Taylor? Let's rock with the intro. Ready, set, go. Righto, big night tonight. Couple of our giveaway tonight. You've got a comment. It'd be nice if you shared too. Couple of gold nuggets there. These are Golden Spur Mining. Taylor's put some better photos up. Golden Spur Mining from the lease. Couple of nuggets. What size are they? 0.83 and 0.82. They're basically the same size. So, yeah. So, got a couple of those nuggets to give away. We're going to give them away. I haven't got a giant feed here of the comments. Let me see if I can change this a bit here. I can't. So I'm only going to get some of your comments tonight, guys. So just by the size of the screen I have in front of me. So tonight we're going to talk about relics. We talk a lot about gold. So tonight we're going to talk a bit about relics. We're going to have a quick exquisite trove. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work because I'm going to drive and Taylor's going to type. So that'll be interesting. But I want to get you thinking about relics. I know it's really the start of the gold season. A lot of areas are open. That's why we are giving away some nuggets because a lot of the country is opening, which is fantastic. So yes. So 2 people. So these nuggets are going out, 1 to each person. So that's why they're about the same size there. I'm also going to spark your interest with some treasure stories that, as far as I know, have not been recovered. I have about 6 here across. It's mostly the eastern seaboard. But I've got one for Victoria, got some for Sydney, I've got a couple for Victoria, I think, and a couple for Queensland. So there'll be a couple of little stories there later on. But before we get into the relic stuff, Taylor's cut together a little video tonight. We think you might be interested in having a quick squiz at it. It's only, how long is it, Taylor?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So, sorry?
Might be a bit loud though.
Oh, well, it might be a bit loud. So, be prepared to hit the volume. And we're going to roll that right now.
Oh yeah. Weird to get hot rocks with the SDC. That's why I'll clean that up later on. Holy dooly. Had a blowout.
Well, there you go. We didn't have a lot of sound there. There was a slight issue. Have we got sound now? Awesome. We got sound. So yes, so lots of questions I spotted there. The pump, the water issue we had we thought it was because it was so far from the dam and the pump was lifting up 10 metres, but it wasn't. Well, I suspect that was part of it, but the bigger problem was the check valve on the pump, on the foot valve, couldn't handle the flow of the pump. So we removed the foot valve. So, and we got much better results. So we're pretty happy with how the pump's running at the moment. We put a little cheap engine on it to get us through until we get something a little bit more substantial. That worked better. It didn't stall. So we're constantly just bedding the plant in. It's not, we're getting it right, and it will be a little, new bit of gear. We've used a few old parts in it, so it's just a matter of tweaking it until it's right. So, so that's the biggest thing with it, and we'll just keep on tweaking it and keep on working it out, and we will get it there. So, yes. So let's start with a story. It's story time with Ben. Now, I came across a little thing there that I'd written down or copied from somewhere. I don't even know where I got it from, but of treasure hoards that have been lost to the eons of time, right? So I've got a couple here that we'll go through tonight. So, has anyone heard of a wealthy farmer by the name of Turvey? Turvey owned a property known as Turvey Park in Wagga, New South Wales, right? And we don't know exactly what's in the treasure hoard, but it is described as a treasure hoard. And as far as I know, that's never been found. Okay, so that is a little bit about what we're going to talk about. If someone had the patience and the time to research that, it would be an amazing little adventure. All of these things are things that I've put down as cool little adventures that I thought one day I might have a crack at. Turvey, Turvey. So Smiley's, Dave's got the idea. He's going to dig up Wagga. That's a good idea. I would start with a property called Turvey Park, to be honest with you. So there is one little treasure hoard that is worth investigating. So tonight we want to look at, have we got pictures of the nuggets, Taylor? Well, we're going to get photos of the nuggets, so I don't have to keep doing this because we can't quite get them in the green screen. Screws with them a little bit. So they're the giveaways tonight. One for one person, one for another person. So they're the giveaways tonight. 0.8s. They're nice little nuggets. Off the lease, of course. Yes. So relics. So have we done something that we've got captions? Has someone got captions? So we're working that out. So 2 nuggets. All you need to do is make a comment in the feed. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 treasure hoards you can find in Australia if you do the research that haven't been found. There is a stack more too. We haven't even talked. None of these include bushranger hoards. So we're not talking about the bushrangers. We might even get to that maybe in the next couple of weeks. So let's talk about research. Let's can we throw Trove up, Taylor? And we'll have a quick squiz at Trove. Trove is the key to all research for relics and, to a certain extent, gold. You can quite often find, you see that cool effect we put up there with my head? It sort of went, whoa, look at that. How flash is that? Hey, it looks like I've got a giant head. I don't quite know how we've got that happening. But anyway, so I've just pulled up an article here, the Brisbane Courier, that talks about Ipswich. Let me see if I can find my, mouse. I've got it here. So this is Trove, okay? So you can search all sorts of information here. Pictures, photos, journals, government gazettes, maps. Old maps is cool to look at. Let's see if we've got any old maps here. I haven't actually prepared this, but these are old maps. So here's a government publication, 1944. Can we see a picture of it? I'm sure we can if I had knew how to open it. I think that's not it. So, but you can get in there and look at all these bits and pieces. So we'll skip the maps because I don't know how to operate it. So you need to get in there. So, but there is old maps on here, okay? All this stuff scanned, 70s, 1944, 79, military maps for those that are interested in military maps, survey maps from the military, all sorts of information there. I've just picked Ipswich because it's an old area, okay? If we were to look at, I don't know whether we'd have too many diaries. I've never looked at diaries. Kindergarten records from 1937. Wow. North Australian Club. So here's the thing, right? 1858 to 1869, there was a North Australian Club in the Ipswich somewhere. So that clubhouse is there somewhere. Okay? So already we're onto something interesting. Where is that place? So you can have a look at a lot of this information and you can dive very, very deep in that. Newspapers is what I think is pretty cool. If we were to, you can look at all the old newspapers. I don't know quite how we can pull that up right now, but if we were to look here, just if we were to pick one, here we go. Let's just have a look at this fella here, right? This is 18, what was the dates on that again? Let's go back and have a look at the dates on that. So that was 1864, okay? So there's a cricket match. 16 cricketers of Ipswich and 11 of Brisbane, okay? So where was this played, okay? So this is a way to get onto different areas. So it may be worthwhile looking for the cricket oval that is no longer there, okay? So I just noticed here the Northern Goldfields. There's an article there about the goldfields. This is a good thing to look at for gold prospecting as well, because there are finds of small alluvial patches that that aren't in the government records, right? But no one knows where. No one really knows where they are. So quite often you can get a good idea of gold in your area from looking at the local records, the old newspapers from Gold Rush times. So yes, I'm just reading this now. Well, that's no good to us as detectors because one of these had to be driven nearly half a mile before any gold was procured, and the others 500 or 600 feet each. I don't think many of us are digging 5 or 600 feet. But anyway, that's a good little resource, the trove. Right, we'll go back to untroving. So Taylor needs the mouse back. There we go. And we'll get on to our next. Oh, look at my head. How good is that? We might have to keep that as a permanent feature, Taylor. I like that. So I can't stop. Geez, I hope we can turn it off now. It's on. There we go. Off. Right. So let's get on to a treasure trove. Another treasure trove of interest. I don't know whether I'm up or Trove's up, but Taylor's working on it. I'm up. I've got Trove here in front of me, so I don't know what I look like. So there we go. I'm back. I'm back on the screen in front of me. So excellent. So have we got those gold nuggets? Picture of those gold nuggets, Taylor? Or you got too much on at the moment? You're a busy man. I'll put him under the pump here. I've got my head this wide. There we go. There's a picture of these two nuggets. Let me get out of the road here. These two nuggets. They're to give away tonight. All you're doing to do is make a comment. That's the two nuggets there. So you can see the green screen messes with them a little bit. They don't look quite as shiny. So, but they're the two going out to someone tonight. Yes, Brett's right. Big budget productions. That's what we should call ourselves. Two blokes having a crack. I think it'd be a better name. So, yes, show me the nuggets. That's what we're talking about. Righto. So, Queensland. Let's get into Queensland. Now, this is not a hoard. This is not a big treasure. This is a mystery to be discovered, right? So, the strangest find in Queensland was a bronze coin, right? Minted from an Egyptian pharaoh who reigned from 221 BC to 204 BC. Pharaoh Ptolemy. I'll send you the name if you really want it. I can't say it. He was the fourth one of those Ptolemies. Anyway, it was found by a farmer in a rainforest at the back of Cairns in 1911. No one knew how it got there. So this is before World War I, don't forget. So people weren't travelling back then. Like, it's not like World War II, World War I, someone's brought it home. World War II, someone's brought it home from travelling. So we're talking 1911, okay? And someone has found a coin at the back of Cairns, the rainforest of Cairns, that dates back to the Egyptian pharaohs. How has that got there? It's a mystery. Is there more there? What's going on there? So, yeah. So there is an amazing adventure. Of course, you would have to do a stack of research. I'm sure it would have made the local newspaper. You could probably track that down on Trove and find the original article, find the bloke's name, and do a stack of research on it just by, following your nose, doing the research, find the bloke's name, talk to the local historical society. I don't even know where that coin ended up. So it is what an amazing adventure. These little stories are everywhere throughout Australia's history, and the place you find them is Trove. Okay, so that's just another little. That's another little thing. I've never talked to Warren about that. Andrew makes mention of Warren, spent a lot of time in that area. But I've never asked Warren about that. So Warren NQ Explorers, he should be all over that. Yeah. So, yeah. But what an amazing thing to find if you can trace that back, get permission on the farmer's property who currently has it, right? And who knows, you may come up with the goods. So if you're sitting there in your home watching, right, and you're not game to make a comment, okay, the problem with that is that you might miss out on winning one of these gold nuggets, right? Look at that. We're a slick operation here. Taylor's throwing the picture up as I'm talking about it. But so it's a very, make a comment. If this is your first night, say this is my first night in the comments, and you never know your luck in the big smoke. So, but if you don't make a comment, you're no chance of winning those bad boys. So make sure you make a make a comment. So yes, only one comment counts. So that's how it goes. Shall we do another one of these? I'm liking these little stories. I got a file on my computer full of this stuff. So there's Mel, first night watching. Ian loves nuggets. He's only human. Right. We've done New South Wales. We've done Queensland. Let's drop down to the thriving metropolis of Victoria. Okay. Now, let me know if you've heard of any of these things. Maybe we can put their heads together with your information and my information and end up with an Egyptian coin each or something. So, yes. So, I'm going to skip that one. So, Victorian property. Okay. Tararee. Right. A German carpenter buried 3,000 gold sovereigns. So, German carpenter, right? Victorian farm property at Tararee, right? Never heard of 3,000 sovereigns coming out of the thingo. Apparently, it was in a jar, a glass jar. So, there's a lot of properties around there. It would take a hell of a lot of search. There was a stack of German carpenters. So that may be a dead end. But there is more to that story than meets the eye. So a little bit of research would turn up amazing things with that. And you never know where there's a lot of, someone's just spoilt one of my stories in the comments there. Who was that? Andrew Wilson spilt one of my stories. He's beat me to the story in the comments. Bugger, Andrew. So you do know about it. So, but this stuff's everywhere. Let me get to the one that Andrew spoilt for me, because in case people didn't see it, right? This is in Sydney, New South Wales. We're back in New South Wales. The three-legged pot story. Three-legged pot full of holy dollars, buried in 1817 by two robbers who drifted down the Hawkesbury River. Right? No one knows whether it's true, but there is some research done there. Scotland Island, out in Pittwater, if you're allowed to detect on it, right? If you're allowed to detect on it, of course, you would want a big coil that punches deep, 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 and you would have to be prepared to dig some big holes, because if those two robbers, they're not going to bury it under the surface. If it's been there, 100 years, it's not just under the surface, it's fairly deep. So there is a great little story of two robbers that were buried and sitting around waiting for there's Tom there. G'day Tom, how are you? Nice to see Tom here. So it would just be an amazing adventure. Life's about adventure, having a bit of fun. It's also about responsibilities, but you got to mix the responsibilities with a bit of fun. Go on an adventure. Do your research while we're still in semi-lockdown. Go and find a robber's hoard from 1817. 1817. Yes, 1817. That's actually 200 years ago. I said 100 years ago before, so, yeah. Anthony. Anthony's from the UK. G'day, Anthony. You're probably the opposite side of the globe. Nice to see you here. You have some amazing treasure stories, and you could go and find a pot of gold in the UK. I've seen the Mine Lab ad where you dress up like Game of Thrones, and dig a pot of gold out. It's amazing stuff you can do in the UK. So, a good question here from Scott. What do you do if you find something like that? Well, there's the legal thing to do is anything that's over, I think it's 70 years old, has to be reported. Certainly in Queensland, it's over 70 years old. Has to be reported to your state body that handles historical artifacts. Okay? Now, whether they want it or whether they don't want it is a completely separate thing. But you should report anything older than, I think it's 70 years. It could be 50 years. So, legally in Queensland, if it's 70 years, any coin prior to 1950-ish, right, should be reported. That's what the legalities say, that you need to report those coins. Okay, if we as metal detectors reported every coin, right, that was, or every piece of stuff we found that was older than, say, 1950, right, well, I don't think the government department really understands what that law does. So they're happy to swing that law when it suits them, and when it doesn't suit them, they don't want all the, can you imagine how many thousands of pennies and, florins and, buttons, it is just stupid. So, but anyway, yes, so, yeah, well, legally, Leanne says she got heaps of stuff like that. Legally, I think you're supposed to report it. But I think a little bit of common sense goes into that mix. I know the government probably don't think common sense, but if you, for instance, found okay, let's talk about another one of these mysteries. If you were on the Stradbroke Island, okay, and you came across the mysterious Spanish galleon of Stradbroke Island, which I've spoken to someone who's been on the spot. I know it's sitting there, right? So the boat's sitting there. Ship. Big thing. Boat. If you were to find something of significance like that could change the history, right, or was a significant find, right, then I would report it, okay? The other thing, like if it's not a terribly significant find, right, I wouldn't report it. Now, it's up to you what you think is a significant find or not. So, for instance, if you came up with is that a sov? No, that's it. If you came up with a sovereign, right, or a hoard of sovereigns, right, let's say you got 20 of these. Let me get this sovereign here. If you got 20 of these sovereigns, right, there's St. George and the Dragon. Let me get him the right way up here. St. George and the Dragon. There he is. Hard to see. If you found 20 of those in a little keepsake, right, I think the government might be interested in it, right? And they would probably want to keep it for themselves. So you've got choices there, right? And legally, you should report it. But 75 years it is. Thank you very much. The person that knows everything, Taylor, has worked it out. Taylor, Google Taylor, has worked it out. 75 years you have to report. That's just Queensland, isn't it? Yeah, just Queensland. So I hear stories of shipwreck coins washing up somewhere in Australia. We're not supposed to talk about this. I don't know where this is, so if anyone's looking at it, if anyone from the legal government side of things is from the shipwreck police is watching this, I don't know where it is, but I've heard rumours of shipwreck coins after a big storm washing up on the cliffs, right? People picking them up, melting them down, selling them as gold, right? And that's a shame because anything shipwreck belongs to the government in Australia. Anything old belongs to the shipwreck. So meteorites, Andrew Wilson, meteorites belong to the government in some states. Some states they don't. So it's all state-based legislation, and it's a nightmare. So meteorites are illegal in some states, and they belong to the government in other states. Robert says, I thought I was still looking for the Straddy Galleon. There is plenty of people still looking for the Stradbroke Island Galleon, right? However, there is a lot of people that have been on the Stradbroke Galleon. The problem with it is that Taylor does need a little split screen. We need a little split screen for Taylor. He doesn't like his head on video, but we might have to talk him into that. So there's a few problems with the Stradbroke Galleon and why people don't talk about it, okay? The Stradbroke Galleon, I believe, is located in a national park. It is very, very remote. It's hard to get to. It belongs to the government, right? So no one's taken anything from it. And I believe a lot of the local Indigenous residents know where it is and are pretty protective of it because there's a big story behind it that and there's another story. If you're ever detecting on Stradbroke Island, there's a story that says that in the I'm guessing here, but in the early 1900, say before 1940, sometime in there, one of the Indigenous local blokes, young bloke, found the Spanish galleon, right? Dragged a bucket of sovereigns, right? Gathered up a stack of sovereigns, put them in a bucket, right? I find this a little amusing, sorry. Got halfway home, right? Because it's a fair way from any settlements. Got halfway home, couldn't carry it anymore, right? Ran out of steam. Buried it in a hole, right? Took one sovereign to prove to his mates that he found this bucket of sovereigns, and then forgot where he buried the bucket of sovereigns. So there's two stories going. There's two treasures there. There's a bucket of sovereigns where this Indigenous bloke's got halfway home and thought, oh, bugger this. Buried the whole thing. And then there's the Spanish galleon. So there's two treasures on there. So Sean says, was it Ernie Dingo? No, I don't believe it was Ernie Dingo. Could have been Ernie, but I don't know. So, yeah. So there's a stack of those stories there. So, and you can just imagine, right? This young bloke finding these gold, right? Carrying the bucket, taking it home to show his mates, got halfway there and forgets where it is. That cracks me up, that stuff. So, right. So, so I forgot what we were talking about. We're talking about research. I'm sort of all over the place tonight. Has anyone noticed that I'm all over the place tonight? Or is it just tonight? Might not be just tonight. It might be all over the place. So, who has thought about convict relics? Convict relics. right? Cobb and Co, right? The amount of Cobb and Co stops in the country is phenomenal. We should work that out one day. That's a good job. No, that's a crap job, isn't it? But so the Cobb and Co Cobb and Co coaches stopped every 30 miles. Well, depending, 30 miles in populated areas and up to sort of 150, 200 miles in unpopulated areas. So, how many Cobb and Co coaches are there? Right? Let's get some research done before we're out of this lockdown business completely. And yeah, see, someone asked a very good question, right? There. Where did he find the bucket? DP Motors. Yeah. I think that's his name. DP Motors, yeah. Where did he find the bucket? I don't quite remember the story, but it was a bucket or a container of some description. It may have been, I don't know. What would be on a Spanish galleon that laughs? Let's call it a gold urn. He filled a gold urn up and then got halfway home, and I don't know. But that's the story, that there's a large quantity of coins that old mates got halfway home and couldn't carry. So, yes. Oh, Tony says, no, it's every Monday night. I'm all over the place. So, nothing's to here. So, still have to do a show about that Flash Excelsior stagecoach. I do need to do a show about that. Someone sent me photos. So, yeah. Right, okay. Let's have another story. I'm having a lot of fun with these stories. Okay. Harris Brothers on an orchard at Axdale, right? So that's 14 miles from Bendigo. Okay, so the Bendigo. Victorians get another go. Several attempts to find it, no one's been found it. So Harris Brothers buried a hoard of sovereigns. So there's another one, right? There's a backstory behind that. I could do a whole show on just that, researching the Harris Brothers in Bendigo. So, so there was a lot of these robberies going on. We're gonna get through another one here. Oh, before we do that, here is tonight's prize. You have to make a comment. You have to make a comment, not a Cobb and Co. There they are there. To win. So one person wins one person wins another. So there's two prizes. Okay. 0.83 and 0.82 gold nuggets off the mining lease at Warwick. We know exactly where they are. They're probably going to be about 86% gold and about 11% silver. So they're nice, bright, shiny nuggets. So, yes. One of them looks like it's got a bit of, not calcrete, but some sort of calcium deposit on it. So, but I'll allow you to clean that off if you win the nugget. So, I'm full of these. I'm full of these stories. So, yes, there's lots of stories. Just stacks and stacks of stories. Okay, here's another one, right? Where this is my last story I prepared for the night, okay? Several boxes of Spanish dollars and Georgian silver, right, were knocked off on the 14th of September, 1828 in Sydney, right? They were being transported to the Bank of Australia in George Street in Sydney, and they were buried on one of the beaches, right, on the North Shore in Sydney. Okay? So, There is a huge amount of stuff. And I'll tell you what, I could just about guarantee a detectorist has gone over this on the North Shore of Sydney, okay, and seen that the target is 3 feet long and 2 feet wide and said, I'm not digging that up because there's a sheet of iron or something, right? And it could be, right, old timber boxes that have disintegrated, right, with Georgian gold, Spanish silver, Georgian silver, Spanish dollars and Georgian silver, right? And someone's gone over it and gone, oh, that's a giant target. I'm not digging that. So they're out there. We don't know what beach it is. The North Shore of Sydney is definitely something that I'd hit, and I would look at. You know, I don't know whether you're allowed to dig there. Could be a sea mine. Alan Flint mentions. Could be. That's part of the adventure, Alan. We did have a sea mine. We had 2 sea mines at the old shop, ex-military thing. So, yeah, I almost wish I'd have kept one of them. It was hard to sort of find somewhere to put it, though. Yeah. Sea mines are quite large. So, yeah. So there you go. Like, there are stories out there. There is thousands of these stories in Australia, particularly of robberies that the gear was never recovered. Okay? John says the North Shore is going to be busy tomorrow. Yeah, but it's there. So how would I research that? Let's just talk about that. So Taylor, can I get Google? Can we Google? Can we go away from Trove? Right? I would, and we might not need to put the picture up actually until you think. See if you can find an old map of. It's up there. See if you can just search old maps. Just in Google. Old maps of the North Shore of Sydney. Right? And that's a great way to find out what's going. So I would start with an old map, right? And then I would look up Trove, and I would find newspaper articles from the 14th of September 1928, and I would start working back, probably 15, 16, 17, 18. There's going to be a paper about that, right? Then that would narrow it down a little bit to what beach. Oh, look at this. Here we go. Here, do you want me to put that as a full screen thing? We're going to get my blurry head here again, I can tell. So, yeah, and then I would go searching. Here we go. I'm small. I've got a giant head. But just expand that full size, Taylor. Oh, it's gone. What's happening here?
Yeah, I'll give you the mouse.
Yeah, give me the mouse. We had it up as a window, didn't we? Right, type. Sorry, we got a old map of North Shore, Sydney. Right, return. So let's have a look at images. Oh, maps. Will maps give it to us? No, maps is no good. So I would instantly look at old maps. So stuff like that. I would definitely look at some of that. Then I would look at, let's see, there's another one, North Sydney. But that's what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at these old maps and going, right, where was the Bank of Australia and George Street? How did they get across? Right? Was there that looks like a very old map, that. Yeah, that's Port Jackson. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's a very, very old map, okay? With the streets on it. Have we got a date on that map? That looks like a cracking map. That we might be onto something here. 1828, right on the money. So here's an 1828 map, right? of Sydney, right? And this is exactly the year, this map was drawn the year this robbery happened, okay? So you'd find George Street and you'd think, right, how did they get to the North Shore, okay? So they probably jumped a boat, they probably rowed across, right? You could probably find the time that this happened. You could work out the tide. So if they jumped on a boat down near, well, where the Opera House is now, let's say they jumped on a boat where the Opera House is now, maybe the tide pushed them left or right, so you'd get an idea of which beach they might have landed on, right, and away you go. So that's a way to research it and narrow it down. That's how I would think. So, and here I am, all blurry again. But I like this blurry business. So, yeah. Sorry, can we throw that map up again? Sorry, I know this is annoying, but that's the other thing that. Did you close it? No. If it's too much trouble. Oh, look at that. So, geez, look at that. I'm mirrored. I'm down the hill down here. Whoa. Okay, so let me just drive this map again. So we're looking at 1828 map, right? So let's just see if we can spot any interesting things that are worthwhile looking for. Sydney is completely covered. This area of Sydney is completely covered in concrete, right? But quite often out on the outskirts, you can start to see, and you can't on this map because they haven't gone far enough, but, you know, they sometimes put houses or sports fields and that sort of thing on these maps. So, yeah, I can't spot anything on that one. So that's a poor example of what I'm talking about. Here you go, Taylor. Get rid of that. So, so you can't really see. So what's going? Whoa, my head got enormous. There's gonna be some highlights here. Anyway, so guys, we're just about at the end tonight. We've told some stories. We've had a laugh. People have laughed at me. I've had a giant head. However, we're giving away these 2 nuggets. Okay, so it's like a 70s music video. Maybe we should have some 70s music behind it. You know, I won't demonstrate the 70s music, but yeah. So these 2 nuggets. Let's give them away, eh? Let me get my special, the steam-driven. What's Warren call it? The steam-driven randomizer. All right, wood-fired. We'll get that stoked up. We'll get the steam-driven randomizer up, and we'll get it up here. Sorry, I should have all this prepared, but I don't. I sort of do, and I sort of don't. Right, okay, let's run it. So, why don't we do, right, let's do the little one first. Which is the little one? Oh, Christ. I've dropped the nugget. I have dropped the nugget. It's official. The lid came off, and I've dropped the nugget. I've found the nugget. The nugget is being... Check on the back, actually. Yes, I've got it. I managed that. So this is the... Geez, that lid's a bit loose. We're going to get you a new lid. 0.82. That's this one there. Directly behind my head. That fella there. 0.82. First cab off the race, off the rank, is Jason Johnson. Congratulations, mate. I will send this off to you tomorrow. I won't, but I suspect Taylor or Natalie will organise it for me. So, second off second cab off the rank. Let's just get this fired up again. Let's see if we can find it here. Okay, second nugget, which is that one there, right? This has got a little bit of some sort of calcium deposit on it. It's 0.83, but it's a beautiful little nugget. It'd be a nice little pendant, right? It'd be a lovely little. It's a nice. It's a beauty there. It's a nice shiny little nugget. I think I found that one. So let me run this. Laura Moffat. Laura Moffat, congratulations. You have won the second nugget on tonight's giveaway. So, well done, guys. So, let me just go back here to the comments. Jep's laughing at me. He can't breathe from laughing. It's, yeah, everyone's having a blast here. That's what makes this show this show. It's the comedy that we don't even aim to produce. It's everyone having a giggle at me. That's what it is. So I didn't. No, I didn't. I have dropped pay dirt before and had to pick it up. So yeah. So yeah. I thought I'd lost that note. That would have been a disaster. Me scrambling around on the floor. Righto. So that's it for tonight. Next week will probably be from the lease. We're going to do a show next week that it's one of the shows I can do fully at the lease, and it is going to be the old favourite. We do it once every little while, and it's going to be what gear do I use? Okay, what's in the truck? What do I use? So we're going to do that at the lease. We'll pull the truck up nice and close to the camp and the Wi-Fi. We'll lift the lid on what's in the canopy of the truck, and look at the detectors I use, scoops, digging gear, all of that. We're going to get right into what's in the truck. So we'll have a look at the back of that. I'm sure there'll be some sort of, sure I'll injure myself or drop something and provide some comedy for Jep and a few of the others. So, yes, so this is the lease, as you may know. They're the flags. So, yeah, it looks like I'm sitting almost in the campfire, which is still going. Let me get out of the road. It's still going. So, that was a big giant log that burnt down pretty quickly. So, right, guys, thank you very much for tonight. We'll call it quits, and next week I will give away a piece of gear that I use, and I will take you into the back of my truck and what's in there. Don't forget, of course, if you've got any questions, Daylight Helpline, someone's on that. If the sun's up, feel free to give us a call on that. If you want help with research, you want any information, you want me to text you the Pharaoh's name, who I can't pronounce, I'm more than happy to do that.
Buckets of sovereigns need help carrying.
Yes, I'm more than happy to. Taylor's offered to carrying any buckets of sovereigns that you find. If you need a spell because they're halfway down Stradbroke Island, get Taylor on board. Don't forget to all these social medias. There's a very good video of Chili, poor old Chili, there on TikTok, where he destroyed part of my van at the lease. So that's worth watching. So we're on all those things. So if you have any questions, just get in contact. Righto, guys, thank you very much. It's been an absolute rock and roll time, and we will see you next week.